Creighton stubbed their toe a little bit with Boise State, but when the other team shoots 66% for most of the game, not much you can do, especially for a team that's not really known for playing defense, which is really weird for a Greg McDermott team, but that's the case. But I mean, it's one of those, they haven't scheduled tough enough, and when they have, they just haven't taken advantage of their opportunities, basically.
Gotcha. So where do you see you and I falling in the conference this year with wins, losses, and seeding?
Okay, well, we'll start also from the top down. I see Wichita saw Creighton getting 27 to 30 wins this year.
Okay.
They're not gone. They've already gotten through their tough ones for the most part. Got a couple more tough ones left, but they've done well there. I don't see anyone really taking them down in the valley. I think Drake will get Creighton one of these times. They always seem to play him tough. UNI and Illinois State will battle for third, and the second one will be fourth. Before Atlantis, I felt like UNI was a solid third. As bad as they looked in Atlantis, I could see them falling to fourth. But as good as they looked against UW-Milwaukee, as good as they look against North Colorado tonight, they could be third because Illinois State's kind of fallen down a little bit, lost 3 in a row. But, I mean, they got the talent to come back, and it just depends. But I see UNI winning anywhere between – I got them about 22-9 right now. They might win a couple more. I definitely think they'll get to 20 again this year. They've won 20 games from Rush every year that Jacobson's been there. I'm seeing a reason that streak's going to end. Once again, it's going to be all about St. Louis. It's all going to be about matchups. I don't see Wichita State or Creighton winning the whole thing in St. Louis. I see a team like UNI making a run for it. I see a team like Illinois State making a run for it. Drake could. I still my dark horse in the Valley is Evansville. They haven't had Colt Ryan yet. If it wasn't for Doug McDermott, he would be the household name in the Missouri Valley. Great player. They can do everything.
He's a chucker, too.
Yes, because they've given UNI fits from day one. I mean, even when they went to Sweet 16, UNI lost to them. So, I mean, it's one of those. I think UNI will be third now, maybe fourth at worst, but they can't. They got to protect their home court. They didn't do that in years past. And one thing they got to do that they didn't do last year is when they get a team down, put the foot on the throat and then put the game away. They could have done that against Creighton at Creighton last year and not losing the game close. So they got to close games out. Free throws have been good. Defense will look better. I mean, just stop jacking up threes and trying to win the game. You got Seth Tuttle inside. You got Shiprank. You got Nate Buss, who's a beast. Let them do their work and see where you can go from there.
Very good.
All right.
Look at that, fans. There's
That's how you bring it and bring it hard.
A nice UNI preview, folks. So thank you for that. We're really happy to have you here today to kind of go over the Missouri Valley as a whole. I mean, because, you didn't just stick with UNI, you did the whole. So
at least the top 4. So,
yeah, appreciate that. So, let's move over to the Big Ten.
All right. Iowa Hawkeyes. It's going to be an up and down season this year. As we left them last year, they finished 18-17, made the NIT. That was a pretty big deal for Iowa Hawkeye fans. First tournament of any kind since 2006. Kind of gets the slate going. Hey, we'll start fresh. They knew they had a great recruiting class coming in this year. And that's a good place to start with the team. You got Woodbury, you got Gazelle, and Pat Ingram. They got some guys coming in that they're playing some ball, and with freshmen you're going to have some great moments, some highlights, and you're going to have some struggles. They struggled against Wichita State, struggled against Virginia Tech. They look good against other teams. That's going to be the type of year this year, and it's hard as a Hawkeye fan. It's almost like, hey, I just want to get to next year where we get that whole year of experience behind us. And we lose Eric May, but that's it. And then we have all these kids back for another year and see what happens, and adding a couple pieces next year as well. But for this year, it's going to be better than last year and not as good as next year. It's in that middle, and I think there's a lot of Hawkeye fans that want it to be next year's season already, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to be 25-5 type season, or I don't even know if that's going to be realistic next year, but it might be close. That Big Ten's tough. But even 25-7 or Sweet 16, Final 18, that's not this team. They might get better later on in the season, but that's not where they're at right now. I see them being probably about 20-13, going 1-1 in the tournament, 9-9 in the Big Ten, and knowing their role. I mean, you got Aaron White. Aaron White is a stud. Basabe is flourishing again. He doesn't have to play the 5 spot and be a center. They can let Woodbury be a center. Woodbury's going to learn not to foul all the time, and he's going to get stronger.
It's strength that will help with strength and weight. When you have to get pushed around, you start to use your long arms a little too much. So it will come with time.
Absolutely, and I think his transition from this year to next year will be tremendous. But hey, we got him this year. He's going to block some shots. He's going to clean up some things around the rim, get 8 to 10 points. Things that I think are concerns for the team right now, they can't shoot from outside currently. I thought that was going to get solved a little bit with Gazelle, but not yet. But I'm not too worried. Devin Marble said last night he wasn't worried, so why should I worry if Roy D says it's not a big deal? But that's a little cause for concern. If you're shooting, I think 3 for 16 against a team like South Dakota, well, Michigan State's going to play some defense on you. Indiana's going to play some defense on you. How are you going to do in those games? And the Big Ten schedule does set up a little bit better for Iowa, kind of like last year, where they don't have to play all the teams twice, or at least all the good teams twice, and they get to play Nebraska twice, Penn State twice, I believe, Purdue twice, and that's going to help them. And I think they can get to 9-9. They're going to probably be that last team in, going 1-1 in the tournament, or a high seed in the NIT again, they weren't a high seed last year, but they would be in the NIT again and be a high seed.
Which got a home game.
But,
yeah, they can get a home game, yeah.
So we're looking at a bubble Iowa this year.
That's how I see it. Okay. And that's with, I had them preseason-wise losing 3 games, which I did not have them losing to Virginia Tech, and I had them losing to both Iowa State and UNI. So they need to now split on one of those, or maybe finish a little better in the Big Ten to get to like a 20-13.
Nice. Gazelle, love his offensive game so far. Obviously maybe not the shooting woes that have been there, but it's his defense that worries me right now. And I don't know if that's just because of the size, it's just because of the freshman mentality where okay, these guys are a little bit faster than I remember in high school. That'll come with time, but that's the one. I guess I would say, at least at this point, that's the biggest weakness for him. Would you concur, or would you go with something else?
Well, yeah, I think the speed of it in the Wichita State game, the speed of Wichita State really he struggled with. Mm-hmm. Shooting wise, I'm not worried about. Defensive wise, I'm not really even worried about that. I mean, Oglesby's not a great defensive player either, but they both try. You have limitations. They're limited a little bit defensively, but they give their all, and they're both effort players. And he's a freshman, and he is going to take some lumps in the Big Ten. There's no doubt about that. He goes against, even a guy like Indiana, a Victor Oladipo kind of guy that just a little older, a little more experienced, a little rangier, and got some quickness. That's a struggle, and not to mention then every week, let alone going against Michigan and everybody they're going to throw out there with all of their guards.
Hardaway.
Yeah. Little big dog, and Trey Burke, and they're going to be tough. Michigan State, Minnesota is tough. It doesn't end. Yeah, and
Minnesota's really good.
Yeah, let alone Aaron Kraft. That's going to be a tough matchup for him. When he's locked up on there. I think you're going to see a lot of Ingram, especially in that game, because Ingram is quicker, maybe not as skilled, not as good a shooter, but he can deal with the speed a little bit better than Gazelle at this point.
Very good. Northwestern, they're going to be up and down like normal. They somehow knock off Baylor or what?
I hate Northwestern. I know I had them chalked down. I think we were going to climb that hill against Northwestern. Then they beat Baylor. It's like, I hate those guys. And they lose Sherna, but they still got Crawford, and they got some newer new meat in there. And the other thing I hate about Northwestern is that starting now, everyone's gonna be talking about, is this year they're gonna make the tournament? Is this it? Well, you know what? I don't care. They should be, no, I don't care. And no, Northwestern's not gonna make the tournament. They don't deserve it.
They beat someone in the Valley this year. I can't remember who.
And what else should we talk about Iowa before we wrap and go to Cyclones? Big game coming up, Iowa State.
Yeah, that's this Friday, folks. Is that now what?
Boom.
Is that Big Ten Network? Is that 17 or Fox, I guess? Or
That's a great question. I don't know.
all right. Well,
I'll be at the Iowa Energy game, so I'll have to get message updates for that.
Okay, I'll be sure to do that. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's a big game. It'll be fun. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either which way. It's just going to be a fun game. It's a rivalry game. People are going to get up for it. The great thing about at least Iowa's team this year is Woodbury and Gasell are no strangers to the rivalry. It's not like bringing in someone from Massachusetts saying, "Oh, by the way, this is our rival."
This is a big game. Yeah.
And they grew up knowing it, so it should be a fun game here this Friday. Iowa State, it's going to be interesting. It was look, I threw a shot in the dark last year by projecting 12-6 in conference, and lo and behold, they went 12-6 in conference. But I don't. I could go with another guess this year, and it's going to be a complete shot in the dark again. With Iowa State right now and what Hoiberg's doing, it's really, really, really hard to call because he's bringing in so many different transfers. This isn't a group that we've seen together before. We lost Scotty, we lost Chris Allen, we lost Royce White all last year. You bring in three, the guys coming in and starting in place of them are all brand new. It's not like we even had them on the bench. So it's going to be different. This year from last year, and the fact that Royce was kind of a do-all type power forward, and the closest thing we got to him right now is Will Clyburn, who, trust me, that ain't a bad thing at all. I think you got him on your fantasy team, so that 32-point night probably lifted your spirits a little bit.
No, I don't have my Pierre Jackson.
Oh.
He went before I got him.
Okay, so he helped someone out there.
Yeah, he still helped.
Well, did I not tell you need to get Will Clyburn?
Yeah.
So the guy can put up some points. He can do some boards. When we run him at the point, like we ran Royce White, the difference is I think Clyburn's going to turn the ball a little more than Royce. But so in terms of putting him someplace, it's going to be another stab. So I'll just stab at 11-5 this year in conference. And I'm not even saying 11-5 because I think we're going to be all that much better. I'm going to say that I think some of the Big 12 teams might have gotten a little weaker. That's what I've gotten out of from what I've seen so far.